So, good evening, everyone. As it is Tuesday, which is a webinar day for everybody. So now I believe today is our 11th webinar. It must have been a habit for everybody to join through this and be a part of this particular webinar always, I believe. So, it is my pleasure to welcome all the members who have joined today and took out a time to attend the webinar. Myself, Kshitija, as everyone is aware, and I've been working with IC from this year's April month. And I see, so today is a big day for us. We are having our first day at IC Africa 2. And, Priyanka and Tak being in Nairobi, they are busy with the show there. So I hope we get a lot of participants there and people attending there. So being a first day, Priyanka and Tak being busy in the formalities, we start here in India with the IC platform. So, for those who are joining for the very first time, IC India stands for the world's fourth largest exhibition, which is dedicated to elevators and escalators. It brings together global manufacturers, technology providers, and innovators under one powerful platform, which is a reflection of trust and recognition which IC has earned across the industry over through so many years, obviously. So, it is never an easy task to have people around, having exhibitors around, and going around with such a large scale. So obviously it becomes a task for every exhibition, every organizer. And I understand that now we are at certain stage where we are having a lot of visitors coming into our show, a lot of exhibitors attending our show. So we were in 2022 at a 17,000 square meter show. Then from 24 we went to 25,000, and now 26 going to be 40,000 square meter show, which is going to be in Delhi. So IC Ventus, I believe everyone is aware of through our presence in both in India and Africa. ICs has become a trusted platform for everybody, which is a opportunity, I would say. An ICE platform, it is a platform where unique digital initiative for exhibitors we have taken. So where during this particular time they can showcase their technical expertise, present their products and company profiles, which is a continuous visibility for all the exhibitors throughout India, domestic, internationally, everywhere. So as I said in the starting, our webinars are always happening on every Tuesday, which are live sessions with the exhibitors and the experts. Question answers we take at the end of the session, where you can type in and keep it your questions ready. At the end, when the presenter is done with the presentation, you can ask the question and I can ask the question to the presenter and he will answer for the same. So today's speaker is Mr. David Ball, who is a CEO for AmJack India, who is having an experience in a global vertical transportation industry, including his senior leadership roles as EHC Global and Draka EHC. Mr. David Ball founded AmJack India Private Limited to bring the world-class expertise to support the growing Indian market. Headquartered in Bangalore, Karnataka, AmJack India serves as a center for product distribution, technical services, and customer support, while leveraging its deep industry insight and strong international network to deliver reliable, high-quality solutions to customers across the region. I welcome Mr. David Ball to present his presentation. David, here on to you. I'm stopping my presentation. You can please start with your presentation. You'll have to unmute yourself, David.
Thank you very much. I trust everybody can see that.
Yes, it is visible, David.
Great. Well, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining today's webinar. And thank you for Kshitija for managing these sessions. I just wanted to take a moment to say that I've attended most of the webinars and I can speak to the value that they bring. And I would like to encourage others and all of you, in fact, to bring more people in. The more voices that we add, the stronger this community becomes. So, having said that, Some of you may know me, most of you may not. So allow me to introduce myself. As Kshitija just mentioned, my name is David Ball. I entered the vertical transportation world in Canada first in 1991. Since that time, I've spent most of my professional career focused on making escalators work better and last longer, but most importantly, operate safer. I've worked with professional colleagues from most of the global M&Cs, or OEMs, as sometimes I refer to them as, primarily on escalators, but also on elevators, but concentrating mainly on escalator handrail operating systems, setup, adjustment, technical support, after sales service, and failure root cause analysis. Uh, India became a defining part of my journey in 2002 when I was invited to Delhi by Koni to help them with some handrail issues they were having associated with their W Series PT escalators installed on the DMRC White Line. That one visit turned into a long relationship with the Indian market. I've come back each year working with clients and supporting teams and learning what makes this market unique and demanding. And then eventually in 2022, we decided to build something of our own and we formed AmJack India Private Limited. And that brings me to today's webinar. And the purpose of my involvement today is to try and go through escalator handrails, the basics. There'll be a lot of information that you may not see in this presentation, but I've done my best to try and cover them off, and we can get to the highlights here. So without further ado, who is AmJack India? AmJack India are a trusted source for OEM-approved escalator handrail profiles. I'll just intervene here for a short moment to make a distinction that I think is important for the industry to understand. And that is, those of you I'm sure are aware of the fact that most global M&Cs or OEMs, which stands for original equipment manufacturers, have a strategic and well-structured product qualification protocol. This is most often referred to as the OEM approval protocol. Escalator handrails are classed as a safety component, and as such, they fall under the mandatory approval category. Achieving OEM approval status requires a significant investment in both time and resources. And once achieved, it basically means that specific products are considered safe and reliable for use on the M&C's elevators and escalators. I mention this because not all handrail manufacturers subject their products to the OEM approval scrutiny, which makes comparing these products to tried and tested alternatives a bit of an unfair comparison. So my point is, you get what you pay for. So having said that, AmJack India supplies a complete range of OEM-approved endless TPU handrail profiles to meet the performance and reliability demands of India's fast-growing vertical transportation sector. We service both the new installation, or NI, and the existing installations, or service, or EI, and specific modernization projects, delivering precision spliced handrails cut to exact lengths. Orders are typically ready from our Bangalore factory in as little as 3 working days. Our handrails are compatible with all major OEM or M&C escalator brands, including Koni, Schindler, Otis, Johnson, etc. All of the handrails that we produce come with a 2-year warranty. That warranty is on the workmanship as well as the product quality. They are all spliced by certified technicians, and we provide full technical and after-sales support, plus reliable, hassle-free pan-India delivery. We are the exclusive and official distributor for Twinical Escalator Handrail Suzhou Company Limited. And AmJack India brings proven international quality and local responsiveness together, ensuring your escalators run smoothly, safely, and efficiently. So, that said, what are we going to see today? The slide.
David, before you move on to the next slide, I believe you can just make it full screen because the screen is a bit smaller. So you can just
Good
go to
idea.
the presentation mode.
How's that? Better?
Yes. Proceed, please. Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to start with this slide, which is going to help us illustrate and guide most of our conversation today. These are standard escalator components. Today, obviously, we're going to be concentrating on the handrail component. The handrail, the main purpose of the handrail is obviously to provide a handhold for passengers and allow them to balance themselves entering and exiting and riding on the escalator. Rubber is the primary material used in handrails today, but over the past 10 to 12 years, thermoplastic polyurethane or TPU, or in some cases just PU, handrails have gained a significant global market share and can outperform rubber in many applications. So in terms of the escalator itself, today we're going to be concentrating on the handrail drive assembly area. In this particular escalator, this is a reverse bend drive. I am aware of the fact that there are other handrail drive systems, but in service of today's time, we're going to concentrate on this particular system, consisting of a main drive sheave. Either side of the drive sheave, we have roller bows, and this is where some of the adjustment in terms of handrail tension can be made. And what is not particularly obvious from this image is typically there is a roller chain or a hugger belt that presses the handrail against the drive sheave, and that is where drive pressure is adjusted. Also, in the lower landing area down here, there is a slack adjustment station in many, not all, but many escalators produced globally these days. There are inlet and exit switches at the top and bottom, which we will be talking briefly about today. The newel end curve, which is also at the top or bottom, joins the main balustrade area that the handrail rests and rides on. So this slide is meant to show a couple of things. On the left-hand side, we have the standard handrail labels or nomenclature. This is a cross-section, in this case, of a rubber handrail, and we can see that typically one refers to the surface that you grab as the face. There is a crown transitioning around the handrail. There's also the shoulder, and then what will be covered on a number of slides is what we refer to as the lip area. The lip area, and particularly the lip width, which is the distance between this surface and its opposite surface, is key for handrails operating correctly. On the right-hand side, we have a cross section of a typical rubber handrail consisting of this brownish red material, which is referred to as the slider. On top of the slider, we see a fabric body ply. The orange part that you can see is called the stretch inhibitor. These are a series of high tensile steel cords that run the length of the handrail. The main purpose of the stretch inhibitor, as you can deduce by the name, is to prevent the product from elongating or shrinking. Then again, on top of the stretch inhibitor, there's another rubber body ply followed by a fabric ply, and then it's finished off with a rubber cover. In this case, we see 6 different layers, all of different materials, all required to make up the SBR or rubber handrail cross section. By comparison, what we're seeing now is a TPU handrail cross section. Again, if we go from right to left, we're going to start with this white gray looking material, similar to the rubber product. This is the slider material or a spun polyester fabric which carries the handrail around the escalator and rubs along its guiding system. Again, we see stretch inhibitors, same steel cords, same purpose, preventing the handrail from shrinking and elongating. The only difference is in this cross section, there's only the three elements. The third element is the thermoplastic body, and the thermoplastic body engulfs the other two components and completes the handrail section. So, handrail sections. A lot of questions that come from the field are what handrail do I have and what handrail do I need? If we can start on the left-hand side of this slide, and you can see cross-section of a typical V-shaped handrail. All of the manufacturers globally have two handrail sizes or styles. There is a slim style and a standard style. One is small, one is large. Both the small and large styles can come in a C shape or a V shape. Sometimes in India, people refer to the V shape as a W shape. Doesn't really matter. The fact is the cross section is visible here. The main purpose of the V-shaped handrail is to provide the handrail drive mechanism with a larger surface area for which to drive the product. V handrails are typically used in heavy-duty, high-rise escalators or in public transit situations where the rider footfall is extraordinarily high. So, if you are able to provide us with critical dimensions, and you can see the critical dimensions illustrated in the image on the left. We start with the lip width, which again is the distance between this surface and this surface. We have an overall width, which is simply the measurement from side to side of the handrail product. There's an overall height, which is also important. And then there are two dimensions associated with the V. If you're able to measure these critical dimensions and provide us with the manufacturer's name and perhaps even the model of the escalator, then in most cases, we can verify exactly what handrail style you require for your needs based on these criteria. And again, if people would like access to these forms or tools, they can communicate with us after the show and we can make sure that you get a copy. In order to identify handrails in the field, all OEM certified producers must provide handrail identification markers on their product. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see SBR or rubber. There you can see the picture of the rubber handrail with an embossed series of numbers and letters. And on the right-hand side is a typical TPU handrail that has an etched series of numbers and letters. These handrail identification numbers provide us with the age, the style, and the length information associated to handrails. So if you have questions about the handrails that you're taking care of in the field, and if you can locate this branding or handrail identification information and provide it to us, we can again help you determine exactly which product you require. So the next few slides that I'm going to show you are of typical feedback that we get from the field on a regular basis. Some of them will be just issues developed by the running of the handrail, but in general, we have a label at the top, we have pictures on the left, and then on the right, we have root cause indicators, hazards, and most importantly, at the bottom, we have recommendations. So moving right along, we have, in this case, a defect known as lip buckling. This is a rubber handrail pictured on a newel end, and you can easily see the deformation of the lip area. This deformation is permanent and it cannot be fixed or repaired, and it is usually caused by improper coiling or uncoiling of a handrail before or after it's been installed on the escalator. You can see in this image down here on the lower left, the handrail has been coiled and you can quite clearly see the deformations in the lip area. The only action required in this case is to replace the handrail. We will come to coiling and uncoiling on the next slide, but in the meantime, one of the main points to pay attention to when you are coiling or uncoiling is not to do it aggressively and to try and maintain an inner diameter when coiling of at least 700 millimeters. So, as I suggested, another procedure which we have available, if you would like it, is the proper coiling and uncoiling of handrails. When we are coiling and uncoiling handrails, what we are trying to do is we are trying to protect the stretch inhibitor from being deformed. Once the steel cables are kinked or bent or altered in a way, they cannot be unkinked and they will eventually fail, which means you will lose the service life of your handrail product. The best way to avoid that sort of problem is by learning how to coil and uncoil handrails. In this case, typically the handrail is laid flat on a clean and dry surface with the face down on the floor and a person either side. The two people simply take the handrail, begin to coil it, and they form a basic donut shape out of the handrail, again, making certain that the innermost coil is at least 700 millimeters. When the handrails are coiled in this fashion and often stored in their original packaging in a cool and dark place, they can last quite some time. The next issue that is very common with rubber handrails anyway is a defect called surface cracking. It's not necessarily a defect as it is an indication of age. If your rubber handrails are appearing like this picture on the left-hand side, it means that they have reached the end of their useful service life. This is exactly what an old rubber handrail should look like once it has reached 7 or 10 years in service. You'll begin to see these types of small weathering cracks. They are also an indicator that the handrail has been run in challenging weather or element conditions. For example, high heat, high humidity, and lots of sunlight or UV or ozone. The only action to be taken if you find the surface cracking is to prepare for the handrail to be replaced. We'll closely monitor the cracks to make sure they don't get any larger. Sometimes you can polish the handrails and make them last a little longer, but in general, the handrail, by the time it looks like this, is ready to be replaced. Now, this issue that we're going to talk about next is called kinking. Many of the OEMs or MNCs are migrating away from larger profiled handrails toward much thinner, narrower handrails. This is primarily for two reasons. The first is that they wish to make the handrail graspable by most people. Small children, large and tall people are able to grab a smaller handrail more effectively. And if people are to hang on to the handrail, then their ride experience is going to be safer. So when the handrails get smaller, more passengers can grab them, and ultimately that's a more safe passenger experience. The other issue is the OEMs are trying to remove cost from their escalators, and smaller, thinner handrails don't cost as much as big, thicker handrails. But when you're handling small, thin handrails, you must be aware of the fact that they can be more easily bent in aggressive ways, and those bends can result in kinking. The kinking simply means the permanent deformation of the stretch inhibitor, the cables that are inside the handrails. The picture on the left is of an OEM's escalator where the handrail had been poorly handled and there were multiple kinks, and you can see it looks as though somebody has come along and dented the face of the product. We need to also pay attention to the unit setup when we are using these thinner, narrower handrails. Handrail length is key to service life, as well as handrail drive pressure and handrail tension. If the handrail is long, often it can gather on the exit of the handrail drive and bend backwards before snapping straight again as it enters the handrail return. So it's important that we pay attention to length, and it's important that we don't kink the handrails. How do we determine handrail length? What we have here is a procedure which again is available to folks who need it. And this is how you measure a handrail on an existing unit in the field in order to determine what length the current handrail is. So if you are able to find a white grease pencil or some way or means to mark the handrail that can be removed after you've measured it, you would start at the top of the unit and make a mark. We're going to call that A. And then staying on the incline or flat area, we don't want to measure around the lower curve or over the upper curve. We want to stay on the incline or flat area, and we want to measure down from A, and we want to mark this B, and we want to record that measurement. We then simply turn the escalator on, and we push B up to where A was, and we repeat the process. By the end of it, you're going to have B to C and C to D, and then you're going to measure D to A. Combining all of those measurements, you will end up with the endless length of your current handrail. When you have that and the style that you need, we can produce what you need in order to replace the handrail. So the next issue that has been reported in the field recently is something called wire protrusion. This is a direct result of the handrail stretch inhibitors having been stressed by kinking. When the handrail is kinked, the stretch inhibitor can break. When it breaks, it can unravel and push up through the face of the handrail, making it dangerous for passengers. This is a very serious matter and needs the handrail to be replaced very, very quickly. The stretch inhibitor can also be affected if the handrail is too long or too short, and through the drive mechanism, if it is bent, this diagram at the bottom shows a single diameter roller and the handrail represented by the black line being bent over the roller. If the handrail is not the correct length and it is set up incorrectly and it bends over these rollers, degree, which is great. Whoops, sorry. A moment. Can't go back. So, if the handrail is bent aggressively over a single roller, the stretch inhibitor can also be affected. And if it's affected, it can break and come through the face of the handrail. We don't want that to happen. You need to replace the product. The next issue is lip cracking or shoulder cracking. In most cases, this is another indication of age, but it can also be brought about by poor setup or incorrect handrail length. I think by now you can deduce that getting the correct handrail length is key to having a long service life. In this case, once the handrail is cracked and as it rotates, particularly on the lower curve, the crack will open and provide an opportunity or a pinch point for passengers, and we don't want to see that happen. and so the handrail should be replaced as soon as possible. Moving along, we have surface lumps. If you will recall, we discussed the multiple layers that make up rubber handrails. Often enough, under high drive pressure or excessive tension, the adhesion between those layers in rubber handrails can break down and the bond fails, and you end up with air inside. And this is what the air looks like on a running rubber handrail. The only solution in this case is to have the handrail replaced. One indicator that a handrail is under stress, and particularly high drive pressure, is to measure its temperature. A well-run handrail should never run hotter than about 5 degrees of the ambient temperature. So that's a good indicator to follow if you're trying to diagnose issues in the field. Then we have excessive dusting. Again, I'm sure a lot of you who maintain escalators are likely used to seeing dust either collecting on the decking or collecting at the newel end area. The dust is usually associated with rubber handrail products, and it is an indicator of excessive tension and extra friction in the system and wear between both the handrail and the escalator's components. Sometimes incorrect tracking can also result in unwanted contact, and once you have contact, then you will have dust and debris collecting. The best thing to do in this case is to check for contact between the handrails in the unit, eliminate that contact point, reduce tension and drive pressure. You can also switch to TPU handrails, which do not suffer from the same dusting failure. We're almost at the end. Here we have slider layer damage. This is usually caused by improper tracking. By tracking, I mean that any handrail should be driven down its ultimate center line. If the handrail drive sheave is tracking to one side and it happens to contact or interfere with the lip area, this is the result. So it is imperative that you adjust the handrail tracking to make sure the handrail runs in the center of the drive sheave. For immediate relief, you can also trim away these fabric strands and the handrail will last a little bit longer, but typically you need to replace the handrail if it if it shows you sliding layer damage. So, a couple more slides. Two other issues we're talking about here: lip strength and lip dimension. Again, when rubber handrails reach the end of their useful life, as you can see on the left-hand side of this slide, the red dotted line is where the handrail will begin in terms of how it fits onto the guide, and the handrail, which is in gray and black, is how it ends. The handrail most usually fails by an increase in its lip dimension. Obviously, this is an unsafe situation because if passengers were to grab the handrail in order to steady themselves and the lips were not able to prevent it, the handrail could easily be pulled off the guide, leading to injuries and problems down the road. The new handrail should always have a little bit of play side to side on the guiding system, but should not be sloppy. Too much or too little play suggests the wrong profile has been ordered. And please do not wax the lips or areas of the handrail to eliminate squeaking or rubbing. The wax eventually picks up dirt and debris from the escalator and turns into a very effective abrasive paste, which of course prematurely fails your guiding system and causes the handrail damage as well. So, two last issues I wanted to bring to your attention. In most transits airports, and mall situations, some locations demand something called motion indicators. If you are visually impaired and you're trying to board an escalator, you can often be surprised or caught out by which direction the handrail is turning and how fast it is going. So these marks, which we can provide on a handrail surface, allow passengers who might not be able to see terribly well or who might be older or younger to know that the handrail is turning. They can come in dots or diamonds or any other customized configuration, and we can put them on newer handrails when they're ordered. And that's just another option that comes with the TPU product. Then, for those of you who might be interested in available standard and non-standard colors, handrails do come in black, obviously. Handrails can come colored. There are standard, which are red, blue, gray, and charcoal. And then there are non-standard, in some cases, beige, green, and brown. For those of you who ride the Pune Metro on a regular basis, you will know that there is two handrail colors on the Pune Metro. And in that situation, the Metro decided to help people find what line they were on by coloring the handrails. So when people exit trains and they see an aquamarine handrail, they know that they are on the aquamarine line on the Pune Metro. That's called wayfinding. And handrails can be used in order to enhance wayfinding in situations like metros and other high-end shopping malls. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I hope that you have benefited from the presentation. It's been my pleasure. And again, thank you for Kshitija for helping us through this process. And I will take any questions if you have them.
Yes, thank you, David. So we have one question where Mr. Gubi Balaji is asking that why does escalator handrail get heated and cause a discomfort to users?
Good question. Thank you for that. The most obvious reason for heat is higher than average drive pressures. The It's a little difficult for me to know exactly what the cause is, but in general, if the handrail is too short, or if the handrail drive pressure is too high, or if the handrail is too small, it will rub. Rubbing, of course, is friction. Friction causes heat, and the handrail warms up. And in the case of rubber, it will prematurely fail because rubber continues to age as you add heat. So my advice is find what is causing the friction and reduce it, and the handrail should return to a decent operating temperature.
Okay, Mr. Ravi has a question. I feel many hidden technology was discussed in this presentation by Mr. David. Thanks and appreciate. Mr. Gopal is saying, can we use another other manufacturing belt or interchange? Can we use
Uh,
other manufactured belt or interchange? Yeah.
you can always interchange. That is, I will have to speak in very general terms. And again, the distinction I made at the beginning of the presentation is still valid. If you are buying OEM approved escalator handrails, they are completely interchangeable. If you want to buy it from Draca or Semperit or any of the 7 or 8 Chinese manufacturers, then typically they are manufactured to uniformed dimensions and they can be interchanged. We have about 7 to 10,000 meters of handrail in our facility in Bangalore. And again, we can put them on in place of anyone else's handrail on anyone's escalator.
Okay. So Mr. Ravi is asking whether can you share the presentation with him. So Ravi sir, I would answer here. I will share David sir's email with you, and you can directly get in touch with him, and he would be ready to share as per his commitment or as per his requirement.
More than happy.
So I believe there are no more questions here for today. And I would wish to thank you, David. And I'm sorry that I've been chasing you all the time for the presentation and the to be part of the webinar. But yes, definitely, as our industry do need these kind of information, who are senior people in the industry who can share their information. It is a really big help, and a big thank you from the IC Eventus team for removing out time, even though you are not in India, and taking out time for this presentation. And I really thank you once again for the same.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Here I end the session for today. For all the viewers, please remember we do all these sessions every Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we will be having session by Mr. Mike Ryan, and that will be by Peely. And I will be definitely sharing all the details sooner. Thank you. I will be ending the session for today. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Goodbye.